I grew up in a loving, supportive family. We went to church. My brother and I attended CCD on Wednesday evenings, and we prayed together as a family at dinner every night. But as a teenager, I became rebellious. Through my teen years, as I was longing for my independence, I was always searching for something or trying to escape from something. I was chasing love, approval, value, and trying to find my worth. At this time, I was making plenty of wrong choices. I had rationalized and justified God in my head. In a sense, I had created my own God, and he wasn't biblical at all. God would want me to have fun, He understands you only live once. I was searching for fulfillment and seeking to find my value in places that would not provide. It was probably a year after I graduated from high school that I learned I was pregnant, and there was never a question in my mind as to what I was going to do. It was no longer about me. I was going to be a mom. I immediately changed my lifestyle. I quit everything. I began to reevaluate my priorities, and all of a sudden I realized who was really there for me. I was terrified. This brought me back to my faith. I began to pray to God, and I would tell him, "This is your baby. I am giving it to you because I can't do this." I began attending Calvary with a boyfriend of mine. His grandmother was battling cancer and wanted him to come to church with her. Calvary was something very different for me. I was not sure that it was my cup of tea. But we went weekly, and I began to feel strongly that the sermons were so personal and directed right at us. After his grandmother passed away, we continued to attend Calvary. I began to really pursue God. I had never seen a relationship with Jesus modeled in the way that I did at Calvary. People really read their Bibles every day. You talk to Jesus and God is personal. I found that he loved me in a way that I had longed to be loved. I decided to trust Jesus and step out into what was definitely not my comfort zone. This relationship I was in with my boyfriend was not what Jesus wanted for me. It was full of lies, manipulation, cheating, and abuse. God gave me the strength to end it, even though I was terrified. I had never lived by myself before. I was so lost, and all of this was so new to me. I didn't know what I was going to do. After he had moved all of his furniture out, I remember lying down on the empty living room floor and praying that God would make himself real and pull me through this. One of the neighbors next door to my apartment ended up moving out and left their entire living room set behind. It just so happened that my dad does the maintenance and was in charge of clearing that apartment out. This was one of the first ways that God began to prove to me that he would indeed provide if I would only trust him. I continued to pursue Jesus and took the base classes and attended midweeks at Calvary. I was in the Word, and I had a fire for knowing more every day. I started talking to God all day, every day about everything. He was changing my heart. All of a sudden, people using his name in vain was like nails on a chalkboard to me. I just didn't enjoy the same music anymore, and I started listening to Christian radio. Knowing that God was providing for me and that I could trust him and he cared changed my world. It was a slow process, but eventually I no longer desired to go out with my friends and do the things that we used to do. Eventually, I was no longer feeling the need to find myself in someone else, in a relationship, in being wanted or valued. I was in a relationship with Jesus, and that was above anything else. Once I found my worth and my value in Christ, things that were once a big deal suddenly didn't matter. I was focused on eternity instead of the here and now. Once I accepted Jesus' love and sacrifice for me, my perspective, my priorities, they were forever changed. Once I got excited about heaven, nothing else even compared. I found myself praying for people in traffic instead of getting upset. I found confidence in being alone and providing for my daughter in Christ. God had shown me that what I thought I wanted was never better than what He had planned. My wants, needs, desires, everything had changed because now I was no longer living for myself. I was living for Jesus.